certainly did for me. Um, because initially when I was diagnosed with stage 2, I received tamoxifen as my treatment, and no chemotherapy and no radiation. But I did have a full mastectomy. So um, it certainly does. And then um, over the years, between the time that I had my surgery and the time before it reappeared, became metastatic, um, over that time frame, I had revisited my oncologist many times, and we talked about the possibility of me getting back on it. But she felt as though, because of the adverse effects that I had had with respects to the triglyceride levels, that it probably was better for me not to. And who knows? Did it prevent me from my cancer metastasizing, or would it have prevented it? Um, I can't say that it would have. I don't feel as though uh, if I had been on tamoxifen for the 4 years after, that it would have prevented it from metastasizing. I don't feel that it would have. It may have. Who's to say? But I just don't feel as though that I would have benefited from that. And then, of course, once it metastasized, it becomes a stage 4, and you become more aggressive with the chemotherapy. And I've not had any radiation, mainly, I guess, because of it being in my lungs and being in my bones. Plus, um, I have seemed to somewhat respond rather quickly to the chemotherapy and stuff. So, and I'm just kind of on a maintenance type program now, where I get the treatments monthly. So I mentioned earlier that I was NED in November 2016. My oncologist had been trying to get me into NIH for a clinical trial, and finally, on November the 4th, I had another scan at 8 o'clock in the morning, and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, my oncologist calls me, and she says, "Well," she said, "I have news and I have good news." And I said, "Well, at least I don't hear any bad news there." She said, "No." She said, "There's no bad news." She said, "The news is that you're accepted into the trial for NIH." And I said, "Well, that's wonderful." And she said, "Well," she said, "unfortunately," she said, "they need to do a biopsy of the sites." And I said, "Well, I don't mind. I've had 6 or 7, and what's another one, you know?" I mean, it's only a needle a foot long. So, you know, so, and they get to plunge you in and out like Roto-Rooter or whatever with these needles. And so what? And she said, "Well," she said, "the problem is that there's nothing there for them to biopsy." And I said, "Well, what does that mean?" It didn't connect, you know. She liked to play a little game with me, you know. And I said, "What does that mean?" And she's like, "It means there's nothing there." She said, "There's nothing at all." She said, "There's no evidence that you even have cancer." She said, "There's no scar tissue. There's no nodules. There's nothing." And I said, "Well, how does this happen?" You know, I said, "What? I didn't have a bad fart," or I said, "I didn't go to the bathroom." I said, "What happens with this? You know, how does this, I mean, where does it go?" And she said, "We don't know, but we just are, we're blessed right now that this is the condition that you're in." And I said, "Well, so what happens now?" And she said, "Well, we're going to still err on the side of caution, and we're going to do a maintenance type program. We're going to continue with that, and we'll keep an eye on it and have more scans in the future." So I've had 2 more scans since then, and both times we're maintaining, so that's a good thing.